Okay, so continuing on with quadratic equations, sometimes we have quadratic equations that only have two terms, and terms are always separated out by pluses and minuses, so you can tell this is the first term and this is the second term. Well, typically when we have two terms, these are called difference of squares polynomials. And when we do those, basically we're trying to take perfect squares and we're trying to find the square roots of those. So when we do that, once we find the square root, we write it in this form right here. We're always going to have an x minus a number and an x plus a number. So looking at this, I know that 25 is a perfect square. And I know that the square root of 25 is just 5. So the way I'm going to write this is x minus 5 and x plus 5. X minus 5, x plus 5. And then I've still got the whole thing set equal to 0. So what that's going to do is, it's going to give us two different equations. It's going to give us x minus 5 is 0, and x plus 5 is 0. And then once we have those two equations set up, we can solve them both for x. Now for the first one, I got to get rid of this minus 5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So when I do that, I have to add 5 on the left side of the equal sign, and I have to add 5 on the right side of the equal sign. So now that we've done that, when the x comes down, the negative 5 and the plus 5 cancel each other out, so I don't have to deal with those. The equal signs come down next, and when I look over here, I have 0 plus 5, and I know that's going to be 5. So that's going to be my first answer, positive 5. Looking at the second equation, I need to get rid of the plus 5. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Both sides of the equal sign. So now I've got x equals negative 5 because I have 0 minus 5. So those are my two answers. Positive 5 and negative 5. Once I know that my two answers work, I can put them in a solution set. So 5 and negative 5. Now, I'm always going to have two numbers in my solution set because the highest exponent in a quadratic equation is always going to be 2. And that's going to tell you how many answers you're going to have in your solution set. Okay? Let's look at the next one that I have. X squared minus 81 equals 0. I want to find out the value of x that will make this statement true. So looking at this number right here, I know that 81 is a perfect square, and the square root of 81 is going to be 9. So I can break this up into x minus 9 and x plus 9. And I still have the whole thing set equal to 0. Now what that means is I'm going to have two different equations. I'm going to have the x minus 9 equals 0. I just set everything inside this parentheses equal to 0, and I set everything inside this parentheses equal to 0. So I have x plus 9 equals 0. So now I have two different equations that I can solve for x. To get rid of the negative 9, I would have to add 9 to both sides. So I add 9 on both sides of the equal sign. Over here, the x is going to come down, and the negative 9 plus 9 are going to cancel each other out, because I'm going to get 0 for that. And if it's 0, I don't have to write it. I bring down my equal sign next, and then I have to add up 0 and 9. 0 plus 9 is going to give me 9, right? So that's going to be my first answer. Over here, I've got x plus 9 equals 0. So what I have to do is, to get x by itself on the left side, I've got to get rid of this plus 9. So to get a positive 9, I can subtract 9 from both sides. So when I do that, the plus 9 and the minus 9 are going to cancel each other out. So I get x equals 0 minus 9, which is negative 9. And that's my second answer. So now that I have both my answers, I can put them in a solution set. 9, and negative 9. So notice that you're always going to have two answers for these quadratic equations, no matter which quadratic equation you have. And these are kind of special because these are difference of squares polynomials. And what that means is you're going to have two answers. They're going to be the same number, but they're going to have opposite signs. So you're always going to have a positive number, and you're always going to have the same number, but it's going to be negative. Okay? So I hope that helps you out.